Boatworks today is sponsored by Total Boat and Alexial Yacht Coatings, as well as supported by the generosity from the beautiful folks over on Patreon. Thank you so much. So welcome back to Shop, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. Now, this week is going to be Demolition Week, and at least to get things started, I'm going to be focusing primarily on the interior. Now, granted, most of this boat is it's solid glass. There's no coring, and overall, there's very little wood involved. However, there are two areas that, are kind of important that are nothing but wood. And specifically what I'm talking about are the bulkheads as well as the sole or the flooring inside of this cabin. And just taking a real quick visual on these areas, they're pretty much cooked. Now, going back to when this boat was constructed at the factory, the deck was not in place. So all you had was a finished hull, and that was it. And all of the interior, for the most part, so all the settees, the main salon area, everything up forward, as well as the V-berths, or the quarter berths, they're just a one-piece solid molded, section of fiberglass. And without the deck being in here, they were able to just essentially drop these pieces in place, tab them in, anchor them to the bulkheads, to the floor, wherever they could, essentially wherever they could. And boom, you had an instant interior. Now, when I'm trying to take this apart, I don't have that luxury. And honestly, looking around, it's not worth trying to take or separate the deck from the hull and lift that up. It doesn't make sense. The juice isn't going to be worth the squeeze. So in order to get this interior out, it's going to have to come out in pieces. Which, to be honest, for me is perfectly fine. I mean, I had every intention of changing the layout in here, but I also want to change the way that it looks. Now, the way that this was kind of installed from the factory, everything kind of had to go in. There were steps and stages as far as how things had to be brought in. And I essentially need to reverse engineer that so that I can take everything out. Now, as a perfect example, the flooring in here, shot, right? Now, the sides or the settees, they're resting on top of the flooring. The bulkheads are tied into that molded settees. So everything's got to come out before I can even get to the floor, which is really one of the main areas that needs to be addressed, but I can't get to it until the interior is completely gutted. Again, I fully anticipated that, and I'm kind of looking forward to that. Now, one of the other areas that I need to address, which again, you always got to anticipate when you're on an older boat like this that's been sitting out for a long time, is as I started poking around here, there's a lot of mold and just kind of tucked away in all the little nooks and crannies, inaccessible for the most part unless you actually take everything out. So I need to do that. But at one point, there was also a head mounted up in the V-berth here. And evidently that head was not, how do I say this? It wasn't self-contained. There's some butt juice in the bilge. And after, stewing on it for the last 20 plus years, it's a little funky. So I got to get rid of this interior. I want to take it right back down to the bare bones. I got to get it back out of the shop, bring it back down the hill, power wash it, bleach it, power wash it again. Then I can bring it back up, let everything air dry. I'm going to get a fan set up in here and let everything dry out. Then I can actually start the fun stuff. But first things first, I need to get started gutting the inside. All right, so as far as the order of operations here, the short story is that everything in here needs to come out. The bottoms of the bulkheads are shot. The sole is shot. There's a lot of mold and stuff kind of growing around, well, pretty much everywhere, to include places that you can't necessarily see. And also, right there used to be a head. So the short story is that everything in here needs to come out. Now, it needs to come out in a particular order. I'm presuming it's going to be pretty close to the order that all of this was initially installed when the boat was built. Now, my plan coming into this, because conditions are a little bit different, I'm not going to pull the deck off of this boat mainly because, well, I don't think that I can. I mean, unless I wanted to rig up a system up to the ceiling to actually lift the deck, but I'm not going to go down that road. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to somewhat jigsaw all of this. So I'm going to make my initial cuts right along that seam on this interior molded insert. Now, I should have mentioned that. All of the interior in here, this is all molded. This was just essentially dropped into place, so you had, for the most part, an instant interior. But these pieces, or these the port and starboard quarter berths, they're locking in the bulkhead. So until this comes out, the bulkhead can't come out. Until the bulkhead comes out, all that molded areas up front, none of that can come out. And also that also lays down on top of the sole. So the sole is actually going to be the last thing to come out. But first, I gotta hit all this. So I guess my initial thought is make my first cut here, remove each of these forward center sections. That'll allow me to get access to the bulkhead. Once the bulkheads come out, I'll have access to start working up in the V-berth. Lastly, come in and pull out these port and starboard quarter berths, and then cap the whole day off by pulling out the rotten sole. At least that's the plan I'm going to start with. It may end up going through a few revisions as I start, kind of making some cuts and pulling things apart. But for the most part, I think that's kind of going to be the path that all this is going to follow. So let me grab the Multimaster with the little oscillating cutter, get a vacuum up here and my dust mask and all that other fun headgear, and let's get started. Well, this is exactly what I was hoping to be able to find. Specifically, I'm not seeing any wooden components that are below the floor or below the waterline. So what that means, there isn't anything that can rot, which is perfect. So it is a little dark in here. Hopefully the camera's going to be able to adjust, but overall everything looks really, really good. This big old block that I'm standing on right now, like this whole thing, that's all a solid block of lead. So that is where the majority of the ballast for the boat is. It's kind of unique that it is kind of right at the waterline, but that's just the design of this boat. The fin keel, when it swings down, that's mostly for tracking, I believe. And all the heavy lifting or counterbalancing is being done by this lead. If I remember right, I believe the weight of this lead is right a little over 1,000 pounds. So it's what, roughly a quarter of the overall weight of the boat. So that was kind of one of the other things I was looking at that I liked about this boat, was they had a good ballast to displacement ratio. I think that's kind of how they calculate it. But it's a kind of a stiff-winded sailor from what I've been able to find online, which when you're taking little kids out for the first few times is perfect. Now, I was not able to get everything done this week that I wanted to get done, but I did get quite a bit crossed off the list. The only thing that I wasn't able to get to was I wanted to get the V-berth gutted as well. I think I'm just going to take care of that tomorrow or Sunday off camera just to get it down. And for the time being, I think I mentioned this, I am going to leave these bulkheads in place just while I'm taking it up and down the hill to get everything power washed and cleaned up. I mean, I'd probably be okay to take the bulkheads out, but again, there is going to be a little bit of bouncing around, and better safe than sorry. I can work around them. They're not going to be in my way. Once I get everything cleaned up and then brought back up to the shop, then 100% they're gone. But for the time being, just for getting everything kind of power washed out, they're not going to hurt anything by being in place. So I'm going to be better safe than sorry. So I'm going to leave them in place, and then I'll take them out next week when things dry out. So now I think this is going to be a good stopping point for this week. Now, what I have planned for next week after everything is cleaned up and dried out, then I'll be able to come in, I'll be able to look at every single little nook and cranny on this boat. So I'm going to do a proper survey, a condition assessment, I guess, depending on what you want to call it, just to see what I'm truly working with. I'm not anticipating any surprises, but again, it's one of those things you don't know until you know. So that's going to be the plan for next week. If you're in the market and you're going to be looking for used boats, that will be an excellent video for you to kind of check out. It'll save you the cost of having to pay for a survey, although insurance-wise, a lot of insurance companies will require that a paid survey is done. But to do an initial assessment on a boat before you even start making phone calls, that next week's video should show you what you need to look at, kind of how you can assess things to see if it's worth taking down, going down that road with that particular boat or not. So keep an eye out for that one. But for this week, like I said, I think I'm just going to wrap this one up right here. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found this interesting. And if you did, hit that thumbs up button. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Thank you in advance. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to leave those down below. I will do my best to follow up with you. And as always, I want to thank you for your time. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you in the next video.
This has been a Boatworks Today production.